Foundations of military strategy. Military strategy is the comprehensive plan for using military forces to achieve political objectives. It involves the art of planning and directing overall military operations and movements in a war or campaign. Effective strategy considers not only military might, but also political goals, economic capabilities, and societal resilience. Understanding its evolution reveals how nations have adapted to changing threats and opportunities throughout history. This foundational concept underpins all military actions, from ancient battles to modern conflicts, shaping outcomes far beyond the battlefield itself. The purpose of military strategy extends beyond winning battles. It aims to secure lasting peace or achieve specific political aims. It encompasses the deployment of forces, resource allocation, and the psychological manipulation of adversaries and allies. Strategists must balance offensive and defensive postures, anticipate enemy moves, and exploit weaknesses while safeguarding their own. This intricate dance of power and foresight is a continuous process, demanding constant adaptation and critical thinking from leaders. Sun Tzu, ancient Chinese strategic thought. Sun Tzu's The Art of War, written in ancient China, remains one of the most influential treatises on military strategy. Its core philosophy emphasizes winning without fighting, achieved through deception, intelligence gathering, and understanding both oneself and the enemy. Sun Tzu advocated for avoiding prolonged engagements and striking where the enemy is weakest, rather than engaging in direct, costly confrontations. His principles prioritize psychological warfare and the manipulation of perceptions over brute force, offering timeless lessons applicable beyond the battlefield. The enduring influence of Sun Tzu's work is evident in its application to business, politics, and even personal conflict resolution. Key concepts include the importance of speed, the use of spies, and the strategic positioning of forces to gain an advantage. He stressed the commander's role in assessing the terrain, weather, and morale, integrating these factors into a cohesive plan. Sun Tzu's teachings highlight that true mastery of strategy lies in foresight and the ability to adapt, rather than rigid adherence to tactics. Greco-Roman military doctrines. The Greco-Roman world produced formidable military strategists and highly organized armies. Alexander the Great, a Macedonian king, revolutionized warfare with his innovative use of the phalanx formation combined with cavalry and light infantry. His campaigns across Persia demonstrated a mastery of logistics, rapid maneuvers, and decisive battlefield tactics, often overwhelming numerically superior forces. Alexander's ability to adapt his strategy to diverse terrains and enemies cemented his legacy as a military genius. Julius Caesar, the Roman general and statesman, exemplified Roman military prowess through his disciplined legions and engineering brilliance. His campaigns in Gaul and the subsequent civil wars showcased his exceptional leadership, logistical planning, and the ability to construct fortifications and bridges rapidly. Caesar's detailed accounts, like Commentari de Bello Gallico, provide invaluable insights into Roman military organization, training, and tactical execution, emphasizing the importance of discipline, morale, and adaptability in achieving victory. Ancient Eastern military approaches. Beyond China and the Greco-Roman world, other ancient civilizations developed sophisticated military strategies. Ancient India's Kautilya, in his treatise Arthashastra, provided detailed guidance on statecraft, espionage, and warfare. Kautilya's work emphasized the importance of a strong, centralized state, economic power, and a complex network of spies for intelligence gathering. He advocated for a pragmatic approach to foreign policy, including alliances and deception to ensure the security and expansion of the kingdom. The Persian Empire, particularly under the Achaemenids, was renowned for its vast logistical capabilities and diverse armies. Their strategy often involved overwhelming numbers, combined with engineering feats like pontoon bridges and extensive supply lines to sustain large forces across vast territories. While perhaps less focused on individual tactical brilliance than Alexander, The Persians mastered the art of imperial expansion and control through meticulous organization and resource management. Their military success was a testament to their administrative efficiency and ability to integrate diverse fighting forces. Medieval European warfare was heavily influenced by the feudal system, which dictated military organization and capabilities. Armies were often composed of knights, feudal levies, and mercenaries, leading to varied levels of training and loyalty. Cavalry, particularly armored knights, dominated the battlefield, serving as the primary shock force. Campaigns were generally localized and seasonal, limited by logistical constraints and the short-term obligations of feudal vassals. Siege warfare, however, became a sophisticated art, with elaborate castles and siege engines playing crucial roles. The strategic landscape of medieval Europe was characterized by fragmented political power and frequent smaller-scale conflicts. While grand strategy in the classical sense was less common, commanders focused on raiding, skirmishes, and the capture of fortified strongholds. The Hundred Years' War, for example, showcased the evolving role of infantry, particularly English longbowmen, who could effectively counter mounted knights. This period laid some groundwork for later military developments, even with its distinct limitations. Machiavelli, politics and power. Niccolò Machiavelli, a Renaissance Italian diplomat and philosopher, profoundly influenced military thought with his pragmatic and often controversial views. In The Prince, he argued that a ruler must be willing to employ cunning, deception, and even cruelty if necessary, to maintain power and stability. His work famously separated politics from morality, advocating for a realistic assessment of human nature and the necessities of statecraft. Machiavelli believed that a prince should appear virtuous, but be prepared to act otherwise when circumstances demanded, prioritizing the state's survival above all. Machiavelli's Art of War further elaborated on his military philosophy, advocating for the creation of a strong, national citizen militia over reliance on mercenaries. He believed that citizen soldiers would possess greater loyalty and motivation, leading to more effective and reliable armies. He also emphasized the importance of discipline, training, and the study of ancient military tactics. Machiavelli's writings marked a significant shift towards a more secular and rational approach to military and political strategy, influencing subsequent generations of leaders and thinkers. Gunpowder and early modern armies. The introduction of gunpowder from the East profoundly transformed European warfare, leading to the decline of armored knights and the rise of professional infantry. Early firearms, though slow to load, possessed immense destructive power against traditional defenses. This technological shift necessitated new tactical formations, emphasizing disciplined ranks of musketeers and pikemen. The development of artillery also revolutionized siege warfare, making many medieval castles obsolete and forcing the construction of new, star-shaped fortifications designed to withstand cannon fire. Early modern armies became increasingly centralized and professional, moving away from feudal levies towards standing armies loyal to the state. This period saw the emergence of standardized training, uniforms, and logistics, enabling larger scale and more sustained campaigns. Strategists began to focus on the effective integration of infantry, cavalry, and artillery, seeking to maximize the combined arms effect. The shift marked a crucial transition towards the modern military, laying the groundwork for the grand strategies of later centuries. Napoleonic grand strategy. Napoleon Bonaparte revolutionized military strategy with his innovative use of mass armies, rapid maneuvers, and the corps system. He moved away from the linear tactics of the 18th century, favoring aggressive offensive campaigns designed to achieve decisive victory through concentration of force. His ability to rapidly move large formations, often living off the land, allowed him to surprise and outmaneuver opponents. The corps system, combining infantry, cavalry, and artillery into self-sufficient units, provided unprecedented flexibility and speed on the battlefield. Baron Antoine-Henri Jomini, a Swiss general who served in the Napoleonic Wars, systematically analyzed Napoleon's campaigns in his work, The Art of War. Jomini sought to distill universal principles of warfare, emphasizing concepts like interior lines, decisive points, and the importance of concentrating force at the critical moment. His theories provided a clear, almost geometric framework for understanding and applying strategy, making military science more accessible. Jomini's influence was particularly strong in military academies, shaping generations of officers, especially in the United States. Clausewitz' Philosophy of War. Karl von Clausewitz, a Prussian general and military theorist, penned On War, a seminal work that profoundly shaped modern strategic thought. His most famous dictum states that war is merely the continuation of politics by other means, emphasizing the inseparable link between military action and political objectives. Clausewitz argued that war is not an end in itself, but a tool of policy, and its nature is inherently violent and unpredictable. He introduced the concept of absolute war, a theoretical ideal of total destruction, which is always tempered by political realities. Clausewitz also explored the psychological and unpredictable aspects of warfare, introducing concepts like the fog of war and friction. The fog of war refers to the uncertainty and lack of clear information inherent in combat, while friction describes the myriad minor incidents that can impede military operations. He also proposed the trinity of war: passion, violence, chance, fog and friction, and reason, political objectives. These elements constantly interact, making war a complex and dynamic phenomenon that defies simple formulas, demanding adaptability and strong leadership. American Civil War, industrial conflict. The American Civil War stands as an early and brutal example of industrial warfare, showcasing the impact of technological advancements on military strategy. Mass conscription on both sides led to unprecedented army sizes, demanding complex logistical systems to feed, equip, and transport millions of soldiers. New technologies like railroads facilitated rapid troop and supply movements, while the telegraph allowed for quicker communication between commanders and political leaders. These innovations transformed the scale and pace of conflict, moving away from localized engagements to large-scale, coordinated campaigns. The strategic landscape of the Civil War was characterized by both traditional maneuvers and the emerging realities of attrition warfare. Commanders like Ulysses S. Grant understood that victory would require not just winning battles, but systematically destroying the enemy's capacity to wage war. This involved targeting infrastructure, industrial centers, and agricultural resources, leading to a more total form of warfare. The conflict highlighted the growing importance of economic strength and industrial capacity as strategic assets, foreshadowing the global conflicts of the 20th century. World War I. Attrition and trenches. World War I introduced a new horrific form of warfare, dominated by static trench lines and the strategic stalemate of attrition. The rapid advancements in defensive firepower, including machine guns and improved artillery, rendered traditional offensive maneuvers suicidal. Soldiers dug vast networks of trenches, creating a fortified front that stretched for hundreds of miles across Europe. Strategy shifted from maneuver to a grim focus on wearing down the enemy through continuous costly assaults and sustained bombardments, leading to unprecedented casualties. The search for a breakthrough in the trenches led to the development of new technologies and tactics, though often with limited success. Tanks, poison gas, and aerial reconnaissance emerged as responses to the stalemate, but their initial deployment rarely achieved decisive results. Commanders grappled with the challenge of overcoming entrenched defenses, leading to a strategic deadlock that defined much of the Western Front. This period highlighted the devastating human cost when technology outpaced strategic adaptation, forcing a re-evaluation of offensive doctrines. World War II. Blitzkrieg and Total War. World War II saw the re-emergence of maneuver warfare, most famously exemplified by the German Blitzkrieg, or Lightning War. This strategy emphasized speed, surprise, and the coordinated use of combined arms, tanks, motorized infantry, and close air support to achieve rapid breakthroughs and encircle enemy forces. The Blitzkrieg aimed to bypass static defenses, disrupt command and control, and prevent the enemy from establishing a coherent front. Its initial successes in Poland and France demonstrated a revolutionary approach to offensive operations, contrasting sharply with the static warfare of World War I. The conflict also escalated into total war, involving the complete mobilization of national resources and civilian populations. Strategic bombing campaigns targeted industrial centers and cities, blurring the lines between combatants and non-combatants. The ideological nature of the war, coupled with technological advancements, led to unprecedented levels of destruction and human suffering. World War II demonstrated that modern strategy required not only military prowess, but also industrial capacity, scientific innovation, and the ability to sustain a prolonged global conflict across multiple theaters. Mao Zedong, People's War. Mao Zedong, the leader of the Chinese Communist Party, developed a highly influential theory of People's War, particularly effective in protracted conflicts against technologically superior adversaries. His strategy emphasized the importance of popular support, mobilizing the peasantry as the base for a revolutionary army. Mao's approach involved three phases: strategic defensive, strategic stalemate, and strategic offensive, adapting tactics to the relative strengths of the belligerents. He famously stated that the guerrilla must move amongst the people as a fish swims in the sea, highlighting the symbiotic relationship between the fighters and the populace. Guerrilla warfare, as theorized by Mao, relied on mobility, deception, and hit-and-run tactics to wear down the enemy's will and resources. It avoided direct confrontation with superior forces, instead focusing on disrupting supply lines, ambushing patrols, and gradually expanding control over rural areas. Mao's writings, such as On Protracted War, provided a blueprint for revolutionary movements worldwide, demonstrating how a seemingly weaker force could ultimately triumph through patience, political mobilization, and a deep understanding of the terrain and local population. This strategy proved highly effective in China, and later inspired many anti-colonial and liberation movements. Cold War, nuclear deterrence. The Cold War introduced a new and terrifying dimension to military strategy: nuclear deterrence. The development of atomic and later hydrogen bombs by both the United States and the Soviet Union created a strategic environment dominated by the concept of mutually assured destruction, MAD. This doctrine posited that a full-scale nuclear attack by either superpower would result in the annihilation of both, thereby deterring a first strike. Strategy shifted from winning conventional wars to preventing them through the credible threat of devastating retaliation. Beyond nuclear weapons, the Cold War was characterized by proxy wars, ideological conflict, and a global arms race. Both superpowers engaged in extensive espionage, covert operations, and the support of allied regimes and insurgencies around the world. Conventional forces were maintained at high levels, but their primary role was often to contain influence or fight limited wars without escalating to nuclear conflict. The strategic challenge was to manage crises and maintain a delicate balance of power, avoiding direct confrontation that could lead to global catastrophe. Post-Cold War, asymmetric conflicts. The end of the Cold War ushered in a new era of military strategy, characterized by the rise of asymmetric warfare. This involves conflicts where opposing sides possess vastly different military capabilities and resources, often leading weaker actors to employ unconventional tactics against technologically superior adversaries. Non-state actors, insurgent groups, and terrorist organizations increasingly utilized guerrilla tactics, improvised explosive devices, IEDs, and cyber attacks to challenge conventional military power. This shift demanded new strategic thinking from established militaries, moving beyond traditional state-on-state combat. The strategic focus moved towards counterinsurgency, counterterrorism, and stability operations. Militaries had to adapt to fighting in complex urban environments and winning the hearts and minds of local populations, rather than simply defeating enemy armies in open battle. The importance of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance (ISR) grew exponentially, as did the need for cultural understanding and flexible, adaptable forces. This period highlighted the limitations of overwhelming conventional force against diffuse, adaptable, and ideologically driven opponents, forcing a re-evaluation of military doctrines. Contemporary hybrid warfare. Contemporary conflicts are increasingly characterized by hybrid warfare, a strategy that combines conventional, irregular, cyber, and information warfare tactics. State and non-state actors employ a blend of overt and covert actions, including propaganda, economic coercion, cyber attacks, and the use of proxy forces, to achieve political objectives without necessarily resorting to full-scale conventional war. This blurring of lines between peace and war, and between state and non-state actors, makes attribution difficult and complicates traditional responses. Recent conflicts, such as those in Ukraine, demonstrate the effectiveness of these multi-domain approaches. The strategic challenge of hybrid warfare lies in its ambiguity and the difficulty of formulating a coherent response. Adversaries aim to exploit vulnerabilities across multiple domains, creating confusion and undermining national cohesion. Defending against such threats requires a comprehensive, whole-of-government approach, integrating military, diplomatic, economic, and informational tools. Future strategies must focus on resilience, deterrence across all domains, and the ability to rapidly adapt to evolving threats that transcend traditional military boundaries. Future strategic challenges. The future of military strategy will be shaped by rapid technological advancements, including artificial intelligence, AI, autonomous systems, and advanced robotics. AI will revolutionize intelligence analysis, logistics, and decision-making, potentially leading to faster and more complex strategic choices. Autonomous weapon systems, from drones to robotic ground vehicles, raise ethical and operational questions, but their integration into future forces seems inevitable. These technologies promise to enhance capabilities, but also introduce new vulnerabilities and strategic dilemmas, demanding careful consideration. Emerging domains like space and cyber warfare will continue to grow in strategic importance. Control of space assets is crucial for communication, navigation, and surveillance, making it a contested domain. Cyber warfare will become even more pervasive, targeting critical infrastructure, financial systems, and information networks. Future strategists must also contend with climate change, resource scarcity, and global pandemics, which can act as force multipliers for instability and conflict. The ability to integrate these diverse challenges into a coherent national security strategy will be paramount for maintaining peace and stability in an increasingly complex world.